Kote started the YouTube,
Yes.
and I'm gonna start the recording here. Hi, Jason. And
Yeah, we have a few minutes. It's all fine. Whenever you feel ready.
yeah, let it run.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The funny thing is that most of the recordings are getting deleted either way. They're just backups.
Yeah, there is the YouTube recording. That's enough. I mean, yeah.
Do you want spotlighting or something?
No, no, no. I will talk during our Zazen sitting, so I don't expect anyone to see me.
Doesn't the Bodhisattva have like 1,000 eyes, and one of those eyes must be looking towards you?
Yeah, but the trick is that all those eyes are us, so. And where the cat bites its own tail.
Bottom line being, we see you.
Can you guys at least hear the rain?
No,
No. I'm sorry.
should make it rain harder.
Hello, everyone. Glad you made it. Glad we all made it to this point, to our last unit for this Rohatsu and for the last two sits of this angle period too. So, as always, we will have a little talk during Zazen. We will close the sutras for this retreat afterwards, and we will listen to Jundo reciting the Fukan Zazengi. So, let's start, please. Find your cushions. Make yourself as comfortable as it is possible after 2 days of sitting. Don't hurt yourself if it needs to be seiza or reclining or a chair or whatever feels best for your body. That is the right form. The verse of atonement and the four vows are something that takes such a central role in our practice. For some of us, me too, they are daily companions. But only rarely we look really deeper into them. So in one of the prior years, we looked at the verse of atonement, and this time looking at the four vows is something that is meaningful for me. I mean, I don't chant them without gravitas or without meaning them, but it stays kind of on the surface. So I'm glad we changed that during this Rohatsu. And I'm trying to close this with talking about the fourth vow, to attain the enlightened way, a way non-attainable. It doesn't get bigger, I guess, attaining the enlightened way. In a way, the verse of atonement and the four vows and how we chant them already speak to what this last of the vows means. We atone for our misdeeds, we chant the verse of atonement first, and then we vow to do better. We vow to live according to the teachings and precepts, practice on and off the cushion. And then life happens. The poisons of greed, anger, ignorance arise in body, speech, and mind, and they make it difficult to keep our vows. And so we atone again, and we vow again, and our lives, we live our life between those, between vow and atonement. Across different Sanghas and over the centuries, the four vows have been translated in many ways. The fourth vow appears in several forms: the enlightened way or the Buddha's way, sometimes speaking of an unsurpassable way, sometimes a way that is unattainable, sometimes simply a way we vow to realize. There seems to be a deeper truth behind all of those versions of just words. In an early form of the four vows, they were closely connected to the Four Noble Truths, the foundational teachings of Shakyamuni Buddha. They were, I vow to enable people to be released from the truth of suffering, which is now to save all sentient beings, though beings numberless. I vow to enable people to understand the truth of the origin of suffering, to transform all delusions, though delusions inexhaustible. I vow to enable people to peacefully settle down in the path leading to its cessation, to perceive reality, though reality is boundless. I vow to enable people to attain nirvana, to attain the enlightened way, a way non-attainable. So it is as though the four vows began as commitments to live out the most basic truth of Buddhism, that self-imposed law of action that realized the Buddha way, the truth of suffering, the truth of the cause of suffering, the truth of the cessation of suffering, and the truth of the path leading to that cessation, which is the Eightfold Path. Right view, intention, speech, action, livelihood, effort, mindfulness, concentration. And from those arise the Bodhisattva perspective, an enlightened way, described as both unsurpassable and unattainable, the Bodhisattva ideal. In classical Mahayana, the Bodhisattva is one who realizes deep insight into the nature of reality, yet does not enter final nirvana until all beings are guided towards liberation. As long as space endures and as long as beings exist, may I remain to dispel the misery of this world. Shantideva is cited in Bodhikariyavatara. A bodhisattva takes up this path over countless lifetimes, vowing to become a Buddha for the sake of all beings. Rather than seeking liberation for oneself alone, the bodhisattva remains in the world of suffering, fully engaged, dedicating their life to easing the suffering of others. I think in this vow, unsurpassable means there is no higher way. Unattainable means it cannot be possessed or completed as a final endpoint, and both are true. One describes the way as the ultimate one, the other is empty, groundless nature. And there is also a more Zen, more Dogen way of reading it, I guess. Not seeing the Buddha as something distant, to be reached after countless ages. Not seeing nirvana as a far-off place. Not seeing enlightenment as something we can acquire and keep. Not heading towards the absolute as a there, but discovering it here, in the midst of samsara, in the midst of good, bad, suffering, relief. To attain the enlightened way, to walk the Buddha's path. Enlightenment. What does that actually look like in daily life? What is that way that may be unsurpassable yet called unattainable? Master Dogen, the old Buddha, offered the teaching of practice enlightenment, enlightenment to be found in the realm of doing, not in attaining or having. Practice itself, sitting shikantaza, living mindfully, keeping the precepts as best we can, both intentionally and in the natural autopilot that arises from sitting. Sitting and how we act are not two. One grows into the other. I vow to attain the enlightened way, but I do not practice to become enlightened. There is no goal of enlightenment at the end of the path waiting for me. Those are just ideas if you ask me. In the here and now of sitting, of doing, in realizing our deeply interdependent nature of being, that is the enlightenment I understand and try my best to practice. The Buddha's way is not simply realizing our intrinsic Buddha nature as potential, but seeing it as the nature of all beings, of all things interacting, interflowing, living and dead. The one great dance, Junno might say. Not falling into one of Master Yunmen's illnesses, not clinging to the absolute, stuck in emptiness or silence, not clinging to the relative, stuck in distinctions and concepts. Awakening is expressed by living those two aspects of the same truth as one. No fixed self in Buddha nature, in emptiness, and yet everything is so deeply interdependent that our actions echo through that network. Realizing dualities are empty on the ultimate level, yet on the conventional level, they matter for living ethically. Realizing emptiness reshapes how we make ethical judgments. Even Nagarjuna wrote, which is quite some time earlier than the others I'm citing, the ultimate truth is not taught apart from practical behavior. When studying and analyzing what enlightenment might be across traditions and centuries, it can seem very complicated. But there is also this perspective of simply doing, of simply being, practicing and acting for the benefit of all beings, trusting the way, letting the proof be in the doing. Is there anything to attain that is not already here, that is not already possible now? For myself, I believe I began practicing the path long before having any connection to Buddhism. I practiced in a Western tradition that also spoke of enlightenment through practice, teachings, symbols, contemplation, ceremonies, with many, many virtues similar to those we share. But in that tradition, there is no explanation of what enlightenment actually is, no description of what is realized near or far. There is only the path itself, only the trust in the path, trust in the doing, the learning, the experiencing. This shaped so much of how I personally approach Zen practice today. Talking too much about enlightenment, the enlightened way, can easily lead to imagining some distant goal, some exalted perfection. I'm pretty grateful that my earlier path was like that and trained me not to expect anything distant, not to hold strong goals, simply practicing this moment. And of course, I'm a failing human being. A perfect image of a practitioner is not attainable to me. But I return to the path again and again when I wander off into the woods. Perhaps this is the heart of the translation of those two words, unattainable and unsurpassable. Unattainable, no final arrival, and unsurpassable, nothing outside this very step. Last week, during our Sunday Zazen, I spoke about Master Dogen's talks on the summer practice period, on anger, which is now coming to a close today. His words are relevant for the discussion on the fourth vow too, because they speak of our attitude towards the way. How carefully he warns us not to divide practice into beginnings and endings, achievements. In one talk he describes the shared angle like a circle drawn into the air, complete, present, vivid. But even then he says we should not treat it as a beginning, nor as a place where we finally arrive. If we think now it begins, we must overturn that idea, and if we think now we have gone beyond, we must stomp that idea into the ground. In another talk at the conclusion of Ango, he again draws his circle and says that even though the circle is whole, this does not mean training is finished. The form of Ango concludes, but the real work, the practice, does not. The roundness of the circle is simply the roundness of this moment. So as Ango draws to a close and Rohatsu's end approaches, Dogen's message feels quite direct. The forms gather, the forms disperse, but the way does not come and go. What we have cultivated this month is not confined to Ango. It's the very mind that steps from moment to moment before Ango, during Ango, after it. Today we sit in the same unbroken circle, the circle Dogen pointed to, the circle that does not begin when we start Ango and does not end when we leave it. Not beginning when we step on the way, and no end in sight. May our practice continue freely without dividing time into practice and not practice, without dividing it into beginning and ending, achieving, attaining the enlightened way, a way non-attainable. Please do not raise for Kinhin now. We should first close the sutras together for this Rohatsu retreat. Onki, will you be so kind to help us with this and close the sutras?
Absolutely. May the merits of these teachings penetrate into each thing in all places, so that we and every sentient being together may realize the Buddha's way. All Buddhas throughout space and time. All Bodhisattvas, Mahasattvas, Maha, Prajna, Paramita.
Thank you. Please take your time, everyone. Stretch, don't fall over, and raise for a round of Kinhin.
have Zazen and a recital of Fukan Zazengi by Master Eihei Dogen. Good morning, everybody. Fukan Zazengi, the universally recommended instructions for Zazen by Master Eihei Dogen. The way is originally perfect and all-pervading. So how could it be contingent on practice and realization? The true vehicle is self-sufficient. So what need is there for special effort? Indeed, the whole body is originally free from dust. So who could believe in a means to brush it clean? It is never apart from this place. So what is the use of traveling around to practice? And yet, if there is a hair's breadth deviation, it is like the gap between heaven and earth. If the least like or dislike arises, the mind is lost in confusion. But suppose one gains pride of understanding and inflates one's own enlightenment, having glimpsed the wisdom that runs through all things, attaining the way, clarifying the mind, raising an aspiration to reach the heavens. You are still playing at the entranceway. You are still short of the vital path of emancipation. Consider the Buddha. Although he was wise at birth, the traces of his 6 years of upright sitting can still be seen. As for Bodhidharma, although he had already received the mind seal, his 9 years of facing a wall is celebrated still. If even the sages were like this, how can we today dispense with wholehearted practice? Therefore, put aside the intellectual practice of investigating words, chasing phrases, and learn to take the backward step that turns the light and shines it inward. Body and mind of themselves will drop away, and your original face will manifest. If you want to realize such, get to work on such right now. For practicing Zen, a quiet room is most suitable. Eat and drink moderately. Put aside all involvements. Suspend all your affairs. Do not think good or bad. Do not judge true or false. Give up the operations of mind, of intellect, the movements of the conscious mind. Stop measuring with thoughts, with ideas and views. Have no designs, even on becoming a Buddha. In fact, how could that be limited to sitting or lying down? At your sitting place, spread out a thick mat and put a cushion upon it. Sit either in the full lotus or half lotus posture. And I believe Master Dogen would add these days, for those who need, or on a seiza bench, or on a chair, or reclining if the body requires. But in the full lotus posture, first place your right foot on your left thigh, then your left foot on your right thigh. In the half lotus, simply place your left foot on your right thigh. Tie your robes loosely and arrange them neatly. Then place your right hand on your left leg and your left hand on your right palm. Thumb tips lightly touching. Straighten your body and sit upright, leaning neither left nor right, neither forward nor back. Align your ears with your shoulders and your nose with your navel. Rest the tip of your tongue against the front of the roof of your mouth, with teeth together and lips shut. Always keep your eyes open and breathe softly through your nose. Once you have adjusted your posture, take a breath and exhale fully. Rock your body right and left and settle into steady, immovable sitting. Think, not thinking. How do you think, not thinking? Non-thinking. This in itself is the essential art of Zazen. The Zazen I think of is not meditation practice. It is simply the Dharma gate of joyful ease, the practice realization of totally culminated enlightenment. It is the koan realized. Traps and snares can never reach it. If you grasp the point, you are like a dragon gaining the water, like a tiger taking to the mountains. For you must know that the true Dharma appears of itself, so that from the start, dullness and distraction are struck aside. When you arise from sitting, move slowly and quietly, calmly and deliberately. Do not rise suddenly or abruptly. In surveying the past, we find that transcendence of both mundane and sacred, that dying while either sitting or standing have all depended entirely on the power of Zazen. In addition, triggering awakening with a finger, a banner, a needle, or a mallet, and effecting realization with a whisk, a fist, a staff, or a shout, these cannot be understood by discriminative thinking. Much less can they be known through some practice of supernatural power. They must represent conduct beyond seeing and hearing. Are they not a standard prior to knowledge and prior to views? This being the case, intelligence or lack of it is not an issue. Make no distinction between the dull and sharp-witted. If you concentrate your effort single-mindedly, that in itself is wholeheartedly engaging the way. Practice realization is naturally undefiled. Going forward is, after all, just an everyday affair. In general, in our world and others, in both India and China, and I say in Germany and America and England and Spain, Mexico, in Japan and in Canada, in everywhere I'm seeing, where you are right now, all equally hold the Buddha seal. While each lineage expresses its own style, they are all simply devoted to sitting. Total engagement in resolute sitting. Although they say there are 10,000 distinctions and 1,000 variations, they just wholeheartedly engage the way of Zazen. So why leave behind the seat in your own home to wander in vain through dusty realms of other lands? If you make one misstep, you stumble past what is directly in front of you now. You have gained the pivotal opportunity of human form. Do not pass your days and nights in vain. You are taking care of the essential activity of the Buddha way. Who would take wasteful delight in the spark from a flint? Besides, form and substance are like the dew on the grass. The fortunes of life, like a dart of lightning, emptied in an instant, vanished in a flash. Please, honored followers of Zen, long accustomed to groping for the elephant, do not doubt the true dragon. Devote your energies to the way of direct pointing at the real. Revere the one who has gone beyond learning and is free from effort. Accord with the enlightenment of all the Buddhas. Succeed to the samadhi of all the ancestors. To continue to live in such a way, and you will be such a person. The treasure store will open of itself for you to do with as you will. Fukan Zazengi, the universally recommended instruction of Zazen by Master Eihei Dogen. We will now recite the verse of atonement and the four vows. Take care, please rise if you can. If you need to remain sitting, that is fine. Take care, you've been sitting long, your legs are tired.
harmful acts, words, and thoughts ever committed by me since of old, on account of beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and mind. Now I atone for them all. To save all sentient beings, though beings numberless. To transform all delusions, though delusions inexhaustible. To perceive reality, though reality is boundless. To attain the enlightened way, a way unattainable. To save all sentient beings, though beings numberless. To transform all delusions, though delusions inexhaustible. To perceive reality, though reality is boundless. To attain the enlightened way, a way unattainable. To save all sentient beings, though beings numberless. To transform all delusions, though delusions inexhaustible. To perceive reality, though reality is boundless. To attain the enlightened way, a way unattainable.
Well, marvelous, marvelous. It has been an amazing 2 days. It is now already here in Japan and in India, December 8th, the 8th day of the 12th month. It is Rohatsu. It is a time of the Buddha's enlightenment and also a time of new beginnings. And just as all the holidays, this holiday season, all of them, it's about peace. It's about kindness to others. It's about love. It's about friends, family. It's about charity. It's about new beginnings and auspicious times, birth. It is for each of you as well. So I wish you to, as Master Dogen advised, it's all right here in your home where you are. And if you want to be such, practice such. Live kindly and good for this year. I want to thank all of you who made this possible, because it is all of you. I want to thank, of course, our priests, many. You should see behind the scenes all the buttons pushed and the ropes pulled and the arrangements made and the schedules rescheduled. And oh boy, it's been taking weeks to get here today. But here we are. So all I want to say is it's morning here, it is night or afternoon where most of you are. Go out and celebrate today in moderation, but just be with friends and family you love, and happy Rohatsu, everybody. That's all I want to say. Thank you all. Thank you all. And because it's morning here, I got to rush off. I got to get my daughter to school. So I got to see you guys later. I will see you later. Okay? Bye-bye, guys. Love you all.
Thank
Happy
you,
Rohatsu.
everyone. Bye.
Open your microphone. Say yay. Open your microphone.
Thank you, Jindo. Thank you, everyone.
Yay!
Yay!
Yay.
Everybody!
See you later.
Thank you
Thank you,
so
everyone.
much.
Thank you.
Gosh, you're a loud bunch.
Thank you, everyone.
Love you all. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All the
Thank you,
people.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Yeah.
Thank
See
you,
you,
Judah.
Judah. Thank you.
See, it wasn't that bad, Patrick.